Good morning. You know, my friend Gail came over for lunch last week, and when she came over, she was so dear, she brought me a loaf of bread and some homemade bread and some lemon curd that she'd made, and it was so delicious. But I was so impressed by the bread that I thought, I have got to try that. She said it's super easy, it's 4 ingredients, and all you need is a Dutch oven. So I thought, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna bring dinner to a friend on Wednesday who isn't feeling up to snuff. And so I thought I'll bake this bread and it'll be super impressive. Like I worked really hard when I didn't work really hard. So I'm gonna do that. And the other reason that I feel like I wanna bake bread is, the weather today was kind of gloomy and I've been feeling kind of anxious. The news is making me anxious. And even though my husband writes this beautiful newsletter every night to calm people and give them hope, which I have and which he does, I still feel anxious. Making bread, I think, will help with all of that because it kind of grounds you and gives you a kind of sustenance, a connection to the sustenance of the earth. There's that saying, bread and roses, which means, the things that you need, but also the beauty that you need as well in life. That term, bread and roses, comes from the suffragette movement. So really, we should hold it close to our hearts. All right, so making bread, it's called Knead, K-N-E-A-D, crusty artisan bread. I'm gonna show you how to do it, even though I've never done it before. So here's the 4 ingredients. We've got the flour in here, 3 cups of flour. I just used, this is Bob's Red Mill flour. You could use any kind. Kosher salt, it has to be kosher salt, not regular salt. And so I'll put that into the dry ingredients there. And then a 1/2 teaspoon of yeast. It can be active dry yeast or highly active dry yeast. The recipe says it doesn't matter. So just 1/2 teaspoon. Here's a funny story about yeast. When the pandemic just started, probably in April of 2020, I bought a boatload of yeast, right? I bought like a tub of yeast and I made 2 loaves of bread. And I just went to use it, to check on it, to use it. And then I looked up the expiration date for yeast and it was expired. So that was a very expensive endeavor that didn't really pan out as I had thought, but I enjoyed the bread that I did make, so good for me. All right, so that's all the dry ingredients. Just stir it up. And then I'm gonna put in a little bit of lukewarm water. 1.5 cups of lukewarm water. And then using a wooden spoon. I don't like wooden spoons because I don't like the way they feel in my hand, but this wooden spoon has a nice red kind of plastic handle, so it's okay. It's not a spoon, it's a spurtle. Does anybody have a spurtle out there? I'll talk about that another time. But I did not purchase these. My husband loves commercials on TV. Those, late night commercials, and he saw this spurtle set and he thought I really needed it. So I have 6 spurtles. All right, so the dough is supposed to be shaggy. Let me see if I can get it to be shaggy. Well, I hope this is shaggy but cohesive. It said not to overwork it. Maybe I did that, but it was kind of like sticking out everywhere and it wasn't really forming a ball. So I hope that does it. Now, here's the trick. You have to let it rest for 8 to 24 hours. So it's evening now, so I'm actually gonna let it rest overnight and bake it tomorrow. And I called my friend up and I said, can I do that? Do you think it's gonna work? And she said, yes, absolutely. So we'll see. Okay, it's day 2 for the bread. And right now I am preheating the oven because I need to preheat the Dutch oven that I'm going to put the bread in. And now I'm going to take the bread out of the bowl. I'll show you it. It looks really, fluffy and good. And I'm going to reform it and then let it rest while the Dutch oven is preheating. Okay. I hope it looks okay. I think it's okay. All right, so now I'm going to, I don't know, it doesn't feel right. Dough will bubble up and rise. Okay, I hope it's bubbled up and risen. Okay. Turn the dough onto a well-floured surface. Well, this is going to be well-floured. Okay, here's the dough. Now what I have to do is flour my hands. Then I'm just going to cover the dough loosely with plastic wrap and let it rest. It feels really scoochy. I'm not a big dough bread maker, so I don't know what it's supposed to feel like, but that's it. That's what it looks like. This is the Dutch oven that I'm going to use. It's an all-clad Dutch oven, and it will go into it's on the stovetop and in the oven kind of a pan. But it doesn't have an enamel interior. So I'm going to put some parchment on the bottom of it to make sure that the dough doesn't stick. Everything's preheated. Get my hands floured again. Whew. So I can take care of the dough. Okay. Okay, it requires a cover. And then I have to bake. Bake, bake, bake. Here's the final product. It looks delicious. Maybe I should have browned it a little bit more, but I think it's gonna be good, but I'm not gonna taste it because I'm gonna give it to my friend, so I'll have to have her taste test it. Success! P.S. Thanks, Gail. And as a little bonus, here's a picture of Gail and me in college.